water, earth, fire. After Avatar Korra had passed away, the mantle of the Avatar was given to another Avatar, Avatar Genji. He, in a desperate attempt to end the conflict between benders and non-benders, he started a process to make everyone a bender. However, bending protesters caught wind of this, and they saw this as an opportunity to rid the world of bending altogether. They disrupted the process that would make everybody a bender, and used it to make everybody a non-bender. Avatar Genji had left, not being able to cope with his failure. However, several years later, it was discovered that a child with the ability to glow was discovered in Japan. This was the start of quirks. Soon, the world of bending was forgotten, and the world of quirks started. Even though quirks were introduced and bending had disappeared, the Avatar would not disappear, and a new Avatar would take up the mantle in the form of Izuku Midoriya. This is his story. Last time on What If Deku Was the Avatar. Everybody was getting ready for the training exercise by 13 and Aizawa, when suddenly a portal opened and out came the League of Villains. Class 1A struggled to fight them off, but everyone rejoiced when All Might came through the USJ doors. All Might was struggling with his power, but was still able to take down the Nomu. However, Kurogiri and Shigaraki would not accept defeat so easily. All Might was too worn out from this fight to react quick enough. This is when Izuku Midoriya stepped into the Avatar state and was able to hold off Kurogiri and Shigaraki. They realized they were biting off more than they could chew, so they warped out of the USJ. Izuku would then pass out as he was overwhelmed by his use of the Avatar state. A few days later, Aizawa walked into the classroom and told everyone in Class 1A that they needed to get ready for the UA Sports Festival. Deku was barely listening as he flashed back to his conversation with All Might. Young Midoriya, I need to tell you a very important secret of mine. I wasn't born with the incredible power you see on the television. This power was passed down to me by my predecessor and her predecessors before her. A quirk that can be passed down? All Might? That sounds too impossible. I understand your lack of understanding. I didn't understand when I first heard as well. Let me just get to the point. Young Midoriya, you have a special power like mine. I sensed it when you used it in the USJ. What do you mean? Your eyes were glowing a pure white. Excuse me? Your eyes were glowing and you were using much more power than I'd seen from you in previous practices. You are saying you have a bad recollection of this. Yeah, I don't really know what happened. It's very fuzzy. I remember shooting fire and using airbending. But that's it. That's interesting. However, let me get to the matter at hand. Do you see this injury? As All Might lifted his shirt to reveal his massive wound. Whoa, what happened? 3 years ago, I had a non-public fight where I had been severely injured. Ever since then, it's been difficult to use my power, which is why my appearances have become so rare. And this is why, Midoriya, I am in need of a successor faster than I expected. And Midoriya, and I trust you to be the next wearer of my power one for all. Midoriya? Izuku was dazed and could not form words. Midoriya, yes, All Might. Sorry, I was in shock for a little bit. You're trusting me with such a huge responsibility? Surely there has to be somebody more worthy or more skilled than I am. Midoriya, the way you handled the USJ incident showed the true markings of a hero. Being able to move when no one else will. Being able to help when no one else can. That is what makes a truly great hero, and I believe you are worthy. So, Izuku, what is your answer? All Might, I accept. Izuku snapped back to reality when the mention of the UA Sports Festival was about to happen. Hold on, they're allowing this? Why are they letting us have this UA Sports Festival after such a dangerous villain attack? The UA Sports Festival is a major event, and it's used to boost morale, which the school desperately needs after this villain attack. It's a chance for students to get internships to go to train at hero agencies, and to see how much you've grown since starting UA. So you better not slack off in training. Yes, sir, shouted the class. Izuku went home one night to see that he was in a forest. It looked very abnormal. It was colorful, and he looked like a spirit, a ghost even. He couldn't bend, so he walked around to see where everything was. Then he ran into someone. Whoa, I didn't expect to see you here. Or anyone here ever, really. He saw a woman in blue clothing, and she looked to be native. Who are you? Said Deku. I am Korra, the 284th Avatar. What's the Avatar? I'm not surprised you don't know about it. Ever since Genji's mistake, the world's been forgetful about stuff like that. Anyway, let me start from the beginning. A long time ago, there was a different kind of quirk. And these quirks were called bending. There was water bending, fire bending, earth bending, and air bending. There were some that can master the separate elements. However, the Avatar was the only one who can master all four. Are you saying I'm the Avatar? See, now you're catching on. Well, what happened? Who's Genji? Genji was the Avatar after me. Due to a mistake of my own, I was unable to give him the proper guidance. And I feared that no Avatar would be able to get a guidance from their past lives either. Past lives? You see, every time an Avatar dies, they come back and have to learn the elements all over again. So you're saying I'm a reincarnation of you? Yes, and the Avatar before me, and the Avatar before that, and that, and that, and that, and that. Izuku, is there anything special that happened to you recently? What do you mean? During a fight I had, my connection to the Avatar's past lives was severed, and no Avatar would ever be able to contact their past lives ever again. But you are talking to me. Oh. Should I tell her? Izuku thought. This could all just be a dream, so I guess it doesn't really matter. Okay. All Might, the number one hero, has a quirk called One for All. It can be passed down to specific users, and he decided to make me his successor and give the power to me. So that's what happened, said Korra. I think One for All might have restored the connection of the Avatar cycle. Wait, can I talk to the past users of One for All too? No, they're manga spoilers. What? Forget I said anything. Anyway, One for All has given you the ability to talk to your past lives once again. I'm surprised you haven't been able to talk to Genji, because he was the Avatar before you. Editor's note, Ben. This might be a good time to explain, but Avatar Genji was a fan-made Avatar that was made after Korra. There was a series called The Legend of Genji that's supposed to be out soon. They did not sponsor me in any way. But if they wanted to hit me up and say, hey, you want to keep doing this series with more Genji lore that we can just give you, then I'd be happy to hear from them. So Genji is a fan-made character, and if they eventually pop out with another series that's completely unrelated to anything I'm talking about right now,
Don't spam the comments saying, hey, that's not the right avatar. There was a different avatar. They made that another avatar. Right now, I'm in 2021 where another avatar series hasn't happened yet. So, I just wanted to get that out of the way. Maybe Genji doesn't want to talk to me. He did mess up, and I guess he feels like too much of a failure to help you. What'd he mess up? You keep talking about how Genji made a mistake, and I don't understand. Korra then tells Midoriya the whole backstory of this series I made. Oh, I think it's time for you to wake up, Izuku. What? It's morning time already. Wait, this was a dream? Sort of not. You can talk to me later, but right now you have to get ready for the sports festival. I have more questions. Genji created the modern quirk? What does that even mean? How do you do this? What's going on? Izuku woke up to the sound of his alarm. Was that real? Or it felt real, but it could have been a dream. Whatever, I need to get ready for the sports festival. Unbeknownst to everybody, a certain pro hero, Ingenium, walks into an alley, and he comes face to face with Stain, the hero killer. Meanwhile, back at UA, everybody was getting in the locker room getting ready for the UA Sports Festival. Izuku, said Todoroki. Yes? You showed off your skills at the USJ. And while you are incredibly impressive, I just want you to know that I am stronger than you. Izuku was taken aback because he had never spoken to Todoroki before, and Todoroki seemed completely uninterested in any form of friendship, even saying so on the first day. Before Izuku can respond, you icy hot jerk, I'm willing to accept that Izuku is stronger than me, but if you're saying you're stronger than him, that means you're also saying you're stronger than me. That pisses me off. And I'm gonna prove you wrong. We'll see about that, Bakugo. Todoroki walks off. Later, the students were called up to the podium. Izuku Midoriya, can you come up here and give you a speech, as you were the one that scored the top score on the entry exam? Hi everyone, I'm Izuku Midoriya. You already heard that. He looked back towards his classmates, and Uraraka and Ida gave him a thumbs up. Izuku took a deep breath and said, me and my school are going to give it our all for the sports festival. I hope you enjoy the show we put on, because I promise you, you will not be disappointed. The crowd erupts. Izuku felt the urge to take the mic and drop it, but he realized he would get in a lot of trouble if he did that, so he just walked down. Let's skip over some stuff. In the obstacle course race, Izuku came first, Todoroki second, and Bakugo third. Izuku used his earthbending to detect the mines, and he used his airbending to pretty much accelerate him through the whole course. And Todoroki and Bakugo were still struggling, but managed to keep their same spots as in canon. In the cavalry battle, Izuku wanted to partner with Bakugo, because they would be an unformidable team. But Bakugo said, I can't stand out if I'm in your shadow, Deku. Izuku understood, and decided to team up with Uraraka and Tokoyami. And when they needed a third member, Mei Hatsume came up and said, you're Izuku Midoriya, the person at number 1, right? Hey, I wanted to join your team because this is the best chance for me and my marvelous gadgets to be seen by corporate executives. Izuku reluctantly agreed because they needed a third team member and the options were getting lower by the minute. It all came to a head when Izuku, Bakugo, and Todoroki were all at each other's throats. Kaminari shot off a discharge, but Izuku instinctively put his hands forward and guided the electricity through his body toward the sky. The crowd was shocked, no pun intended, but no one was more shocked than Izuku Midoriya. Everything played out in canon, up until the point where Deku had to steal the points back from Todoroki. Instead of using his power to get rid of the fire, he used his bending to get rid of the fire. My left side. What am I doing? Shoto said in his mind. And as in canon, Izuku failed to grab the 10 million points, but still advanced to the tournament thanks to Tokoyami. Later, Izuku wasn't pulled aside by Todoroki, because why would he? He's not similar to All Might in any way, and he didn't exactly sense holding back from Deku. So Todoroki's backstory stays a mystery for now. The first battle was Midoriya versus Shinzo. Ojiro was the one who pulled Deku to the side and explained that Shinzo had brainwashing, and he seemingly could control anybody just by talking to them. Izuku takes Ojiro's warning, and the next match plays out. Izuku just stared down Shinzo, not knowing what to do. He could easily just take Shinzo out, but he knew not to underestimate his opponent. You're not talking. I bet that monkey told you. Oh, okay. That sounded kind of racist. I bet that guy with the tail. Okay, that doesn't work either. I bet that monkey told you not to talk because you get brainwashed. He's such an idiot. Pros are watching the sports festival, and instead of taking the win I easily gave to him, he's just choosing to sit by the sidelines. Izuku snapped and said, "How dare you?" and paused. Izuku was under brainwashing, and Shinzo commanded him to walk out of bounds. But before Izuku could be completely shot out of bounds, his eyes started glowing, and he heard a voice. "Dude, do you really need my help this early? Snap out of it and finish this fight." Izuku woke up from his brainwashing. He was like, "How did you do that?" Izuku was about to answer, but then remembered not to talk. Izuku then just quickly struck Shinzo with an air blast. And with that, Izuku took the win. Everyone was shocked. But of course, Shinzo was the most shocked out of everyone. He was a bit disappointed that he didn't get to show what he could do. But then his classmates showed their respect for Shinzo for being able to stand up for such a powerful opponent like Midoriya. And with that, the first match was over. All the other matches play out like in canon, until we get Midoriya versus Shoto. The battle was instantly very explosive, as both sides shot barrages of attacks. However, it became quickly apparent that Midoriya had the upper hand. Every time Shoto shot a ice blast, as Izuku would just turn it to water, or turn it back into ice and redirect it at Shoto. This went on until Izuku finally had enough and used his water bending to free Shoto and confront him. "You have fire and ice, and you're not using your fire. Why is that?" Izuku made a tornado around the arena, encasing both him and Todoroki inside. "I'm not using my old man's power." "Your old man's power? What does Endeavor have to do with any of this?" "I refuse to give that man the satisfaction of me needing his quirk." "Again, what does Endeavor have to do with any of this?" Shoto looked shocked. "I don't know what your deal is. What happened to I'm stronger than you? And you're only using half of your power. And you're gonna lose if you only use half of your power. And it's your power, not his. Quirks belong to the user of the quirk, not the parent. And if you can't seem to understand that, just sit down and lose and give me my victory, because you're obviously not worth my time." These words hit Shoto like a freight train. He remembered his past, and how he hated his father. He always viewed his fire as a curse that his father passed down to him, never as his own actual power, and Endeavor never really helped with that. But Izuku saying that it's not his power gave Shoto a sense of freedom. His fire exploded from his body. Shoto looked at Deku and said, "I will win this." A smile crept across Izuku's face. "What are you smiling about? You could have had an easy victory, but instead you decided to convince me to use my power. You're absolutely insane. Can you blame me? I wanted a decent fight." "Fine then. Don't blame me for what happens next." Shoto used his flash freeze, and Izuku went into the avatar state. Izuku bent all four elements, and Todoroki erupted in fire and ice. The explosion was so huge that Cementos had to interfere. and so did Midnight. When the dust cleared, both the boys were unconscious. However, Todoroki was out of bounds, and Izuku was revealed to have stopped himself from going out of bounds by putting up an earth-bent wall. I was going to say Deku vs. Bakugo for part 4, but I have time. And I want to keep the Stain arc in part 4, make that the central focus. Izuku and Todoroki woke up. Izuku went to go and find Todoroki, and that's when Todoroki told Izuku about his backstory. When it was all over, Izuku said, "Oh my gosh, I'm sorry. You had gone through so much. But that doesn't change my opinion on you using half of your quirk. You can't be a hero if you tie your one arm behind your back." Shoto surprisingly agreed, and Izuku headed to the next match, him versus Bakugo. Meanwhile, Ida got a call from his mother and went to answer it. Izuku and Bakugo just stared each other down. Even after the timer had gone down, Izuku was staring daggers at Bakugo, and Bakugo was doing the same. And then, in a flash, both of them charged at each other with full force. Izuku had surprisingly started losing. Bakugo was too fast, and his explosions were too powerful for Izuku to control. For every one hit Izuku got, Bakugo got 3. "What's the matter? You talked to Icy Hot about not holding back. So why are you? Do that glowy eye thing." I can't control that. It just happens. "So if you're saying I need to beat it out of you, I'll happily oblige." Oh crap, said Deku. Bakugo was just taunting Deku, toying with him. Izuku kept going all out, but he was just not strong enough to keep up with Bakugo. Even the boost from One For All wasn't enough to give Deku the strength to triumph over Bakugo. Eventually, Izuku was down. Midnight counted down to give Izuku time to get up. Izuku stood up, with his eyes glowing. "There we go," said Bakugo. Izuku started breathing fire towards Bakugo, preventing him from getting close. And when he was distant enough, Izuku used his earthbending to ground him. Bakugo used these explosions to burst out of the rocks Izuku buried him in. "I'm done with your stupid tricks, Deku." Bakugo leaped in the sky. Izuku had seen that move all too many times. "Howitzer impact!" Izuku shot another plume of fire, but Bakugo was cutting right through it. Bakugo crashed down with his final explosion. It seemed to be point blank at Izuku's face. But when the smoke cleared, Izuku was gone. Izuku quickly appeared right behind Bakugo, and used his airbending to force him out of the ring. "You thought you could be slick, huh, Deku?" Bakugo used his explosions to keep himself from going out of bounds. However, Izuku grabbed him using the earth, and then forced him out of the ring a second time, this time being successful. Izuku then passed out. Izuku Midoriya had won the UA Sports Festival.